Good day everyone and welcome to my short video presentations about the Sustainable Development Goals. Today I'll be explaining to you the Sustainable Development Goals, to be in particular my favorite goal. So, to begin with, what are the Sustainable Development Goals? The Sustainable Development Goals are a series of 17 goals fixed by the United Nations and adopted by 193 countries in 2015. For sustainable, to be more specific, economic, environmental, and social development, the overall objective is to create a better world and a better life for all by 2030. All 17 goals are very important, but today I'll be going more into depth about the first goal. You might be wondering, why the first goal in specific? Here's why. Goal 1 calls for an end to poverty in all its manifestations by 2030. It also aims to ensure social protection for the poor and vulnerable, increase access to basic services, and support people harmed by climate-related extreme events and other economic, social, and environmental shocks and disasters. Economic growth has slowed down dramatically, and poverty is on the rise everywhere. Questions therefore have arisen whether these setbacks will have a permanent effect, jeopardizing progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals. What are the targets? We're looking at a goal which is aimed to be achieved globally. By 2030, we want to eradicate extreme poverty for all people everywhere, currently measured as people living on less than $1.25 a day. By 2030, we want to reduce at least by half the proportion of men, women, and children of all ages living in poverty in all its dimensions according to national definitions. We want to implement nationally appropriate social protection systems and measures for all, including floors, and by 2030 achieve substantial coverage of the poor and the vulnerable. By 2030, we want to ensure that all men and women, in particular the poor and vulnerable, have equal rights to economic resources as well as access to basic services, ownership and control over land and other forms of property, inheritance, natural resources, appropriate new technology, and financial services, including microfinance. Why is it important? In 2015, more than 700 million people lived in extreme poverty, struggling to fulfill the most basic needs like health, education, and access to water and sanitation. So, now you might be wondering, why is there so much poverty in the world? Mainly the problem behind poverty is unemployment, social exclusion, and a high vulnerability of certain populations to disasters, diseases, and other phenomena which prevent them from being productive. So, how is the achievement of the goal going with the circumstances today, you might wonder? Even before the pandemic, the pace of global poverty reduction was decelerating, and it was projected that the global target of ending poverty by 2030 would probably be missed. The pandemic is pushing tens of millions of persons back into extreme poverty, undoing most of the years of progress. While the pandemic has highlighted the need to strengthen social protection and emergency preparedness and response, those measures are insufficient to safeguard the poor and vulnerable who most need them. So, who does it affect? 3/4 of all poor people still live in rural areas. They are heavily reliant on natural resources for their livelihoods, like soil, water, forests, and fisheries, which underpin commercial and subsistence activities and often provide a safety net to the poor in times of crisis. So, how does it affect our society? The vicious cycle of poverty means that lifelong barriers and troubles are passed on from one generation to the next. Unemployment and low incomes create an environment where children are unable to attend school. Children must often work to provide an income for their family. As for children who are able to go to school, many fail to see how hard work can improve their lives as they see their parents struggle at everyday tasks. Who is helping this SDG in particular, and how can I help? United Nations Development Programme, World Bank, UN Children's Fund, UNESCO, UN International Strategy for Disaster Reduction are some organizations supporting this SDG in particular. You yourself can also help by attending various learning programs. For example, the 2021 SDGs Learning, Training, and Practice Special Event. This event is from Tuesday 6th of July to Thursday 15th of July 2021. It will be held in a virtual format via an online meeting platform. This way, everyone is able to attend this program. It is very important to achieve this goal as well as the others. This goal in specific is so important because it speaks for equality, and that makes it also one of my personal favorites. I think a society can't be ruled without equality. And also having access to water, education, housing, and food is part of your human rights, and everyone should have access to that.